Hey everybody, welcome back to Andertons TV. Thanks for joining us today. I have a very, very special guest on a Zoom call coming up, so please, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Steve Vai. How are you, man? You feeling good?
I'm doing great. How you doing, brother?
Yeah, I'm very, very well. Very, very well. I mean, here's Pete. I don't know, do you remember Pete from last time?
Yes.
Yeah, I see you, man.
How you doing, man?
So yeah, it's crazy. Well, thank you for joining us. I think we
Thank you.
are.
It's always nice talking to you guys.
I think we're all recording and filming the Zoom thing, so we are probably good to go. You can leave it on, man. It'll just record the thing.
Sorry, I will stop.
Well, congratulations, new music coming out soon. And last time I saw you was in 2018, I think. And we had a very long and deep discussion about music.
I remember. Yeah, very nice. I remember.
And I kind of got to the end of the interview and thought, wow, it wasn't a very frivolous or uplifting interview, that one, was it? So next time I see Steve, we must try and, talk about things in a slightly more light-hearted manner. So
did I get too intense?
No, I think I went there myself. I was like, and I think we connected, and so it felt right to let that play out. But it was 45 minutes of quite, pretty deep stuff. So I'm hoping that, and I know the last couple of years has been tough.
Hoping that we don't get so deep this time.
Well, I'm hoping we can just we can talk sort of a bit more joyously about
I will restrict myself to talking about those things that I believe your audience might be interested in.
So look, I mean, I love the story that, I love stories of good things coming out of the last couple of years. Yeah. And for me, it seems that you're, what was going to be an acoustic album, and I don't know how much the world knows about the acoustic album, but very quickly it became apparent that wasn't the right thing for the right time. And the Inviolate album has come out, which is a very, at least to me, seems like it was a real handbrake turn, musical decision. Mm. So tell me a little bit about, where were you at and why did Inviolate feel like it just had to come out at the time?
Yeah. Well, my story isn't very unlike most artists, musicians, in that I was happily going along with some plans to record the third installment of this trilogy of records, Real Illusions, that I'd worked on kind of through many years, and I was going to do the third installment, but it was a very dense record with a lot of vocals. And you wake up one day, lockdown, so you're left figuring out what you're going to do. And it didn't disturb me because I knew it would be very nice to be able to just be home in my studio and have nobody bug me. Right. Because interruptions are the thing that really get in the way of your ability to accomplish stuff. And right. So it was nice. And I couldn't really do that record because with the lockdown, I couldn't have people over. And it just was, so I, like many other musicians, started to communicate with the audience in different ways. Musicians, I feel, and I could be wrong, but I think they got hit the hardest. The music industry got hit the hardest because no concerts, that means no venues, no promoters, and all these people just nothing. And you're not going to get any kind of a real compensation if you're a musician from any government. It's very rare. So a lot of musicians, but I tell you, we're very resilient and we figure it out. And musicians were figuring it out. And we started to communicate and start sharing files. And during the lockdown, like so many, I wanted to reach my fans through uploading content. So one of the first things I did was I started to do these sort of like live streams. And I had two classes of categories. One was called Under It All, where I I go into the deep stuff, and then there's Alien Guitar Secrets, where I talk about all the things music related, and that was nice. It worked out nice. And then the lockdown gave me some time, to work on some things that I had wanted to work on that I didn't have time. And the first thing I worked on was a song called Candle Power, which I needed that time because it was really a pickled kind of a song. There was all these awkward kind of bends and stuff that took a while for me to get. But that was nice because there was something to offer the fans. And then I did something just on a whim, basically. I recorded a solo acoustic guitar and vocal version of a song in my catalog called The Moon and I, which this isn't rare. This is non-existent. I never did that. But I enjoy doing it. I perform some acoustic vocal stuff occasionally in the show with the band, but never just sitting by myself. But it's something I enjoy, and I have a whole bunch of music I collected through the years, ideas for an actual solo acoustic vocal record. And it doesn't sound like anything else in my catalog. And I like my voice. It's very limited. It's not a rock and roll voice, but if I put it in the right spot on the right song, it works. So the response from The Moon and I was such that it was so good. I thought, well, you know what? Maybe now's the time to make that vocal acoustic record. And I did. Well, I got about 3/4 of the way through, and then my shoulder gave out. And that's when I needed to really take a little time and get it fixed. And in the meantime, also, I was working on cleaning up these orchestra scores that I'm having recorded with the Metropole Orchestra in Holland in May. So I had to go get this surgery. And when I got back, I had this sling, and the sling is called a knapsack because the doctor that designed it was Dr. Knapp. And so he calls it the knapsack. So to honor him and the situation, I called the song Knapsack. And what it was basically, I sat down with, I just got back from the hospital. I was still messed up and, on drugs, and I got the first Black Onyx Pia. That's not this one. It's in the other room. And I had, my hand on, in this sling, and I just started, and I immediately said, I'm going to write a song. I could do this. It's not that hard. I mean, it's not, because, Lee, if you've got like a legato style with a lot of hammers, it's not a big mystery. But I did it. and when I thought about doing this knapsack, this was all still in lockdown. I knew that I gave myself some directives. And the first directive was, it's got to stand on its own as a piece of music and not sound like a gimmick, or novelty. So that was a directive. And I wanted it to have the best melody that I could write, for that piece. And the difficult thing about recording that song was that we were in lockdown and my engineer wasn't coming, nobody was here. So I had to set up the amps, mic everything, set up the session, set up the cameras, engineer everything, all with one hand, and play the piece. So, but what I notice is when you're doing something like that, if you move slowly and purposefully, you can do anything. It just happens. You just get it done. And if you can't be complaining in your head about it either. So I like the way that track came out. And then at that point, I was really feeling the urge to get on tour. I really love touring. I didn't realize how much I missed it, and I wanted to get that going. So when you book a tour, you got to project way ahead, and because there's a lot of pre-production and this kind of thing. So, and we don't know what the COVID situation is going to be like, So I did want to get out. So decided to finish this record. I had a bunch of music already. Instead of finishing the acoustic vocal record, because I wasn't going to tour on that record, you know. But I hunkered down and I finished Inviolate, and we booked the tour like a year in advance. And that was for North America, the first leg of the tour, because I'm actually embarking on a mega tour that's probably going to have about 250 shows.
Yeah, I heard. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, and it's in modules, you know, and that'll probably be my last mega tour. You know, the last one was like 255 shows, you know. So my shoulder had healed, but over the summer I'd kind of torn something else again, and I thought it would be okay. And the doctor, we kept an eye on it. We thought maybe I'd be able to get through this tour, but once I started like digging in, there's no way. So we took this first leg, and that was supposed to happen at the end of January in North America, and we moved it to the fall, and it's almost intact completely, just in the fall now. So that's the plan, and you know, I'm going to get fixed and do my best. We'll see what happens.
Because I had a question. I know you had the shoulder problem. The video of you playing, you know, one-handed legato stuff with your other arm in a sling just blew up on the internet. It was crazy. But didn't you damage you damaged your fingers at your thumb? That's right, in your other hand. So how in what way? How did you do that?
That was something. That's what happened there. Actually, not very uncommon. The way it started was I was working on the acoustic record, and I was working on something and working on finger picking something, and I had my hand way up high on the neck in this really awkward chord, right? And when you do that, your thumb is like that.
Yeah.
You know, your thumb is like pushing.
Yeah.
And I'm pushing and for like, and I didn't realize, and it was like I was meditating, you know, like really focusing on trying to get this. And I didn't realize with this. And then when I pulled my hand off after like 20 minutes, it's like, oh. It's like, uh-oh, what's going on here? And I didn't think anything of it. And until about a month later, it started to like click,
yeah.
click. It was triggering. It was going, the weirdest thing. Click, click. And I could still play, but then it froze and I couldn't play. And that was right around this time. So I actually got both surgeries within a few weeks. And this was nothing. I was playing the day after I got back, you know.
Oh,
but that's why I had the blue bandage on for knapsack on my left hand. But that my finger didn't hurt there at all. I just had to have the bandage because there was a gash, you know. They cut like all along. Anyway.
Well, I'm glad you're feeling better now. I'm kind of intrigued. I was reading through, you know, the notes that I received about the album and some of the different guitars that you'd used as you were recording different tracks, and it led me to sort of think, does the music draw you to the instrument, or are you playing different instruments and the instrument draws the music out of you?
Good question, and both can happen. Like, for instance, an example of the music choosing the guitar. So I have a guitar by my bed, and when I go to sleep at night, when my wife's getting ready, I just kind of will noodle around a little bit, and if I come across something interesting, I just throw it on my iPhone, you know. Mm-hmm. So I remember I was sitting there, and I kind of went like this, you know. And I liked it. I thought that there was something in there, you know. So it became the song "Little Pretty," mm-hmm. you know. So I didn't have a title for it. Actually, I gave it a temporary title, "The Red Flower." I don't know why, but as I was recording it, I was listening to it, and the title comes, you know. But what was the question again? I don't know if I answered the question.
No, it was. So a riff comes, it was really, does a riff or a tune in
gotcha.
your head, do you pick the guitar or does the guitar sort of?
Okay, so I had about this much of the song. So I had about that much, and that was just on a little tape, iPhone clip. So when I was listening to it back, it haunted me for like 3 years, you know. And I was just like, I gotta record that song. There's something in it. I don't know what it is. And that's all I had, but I knew the whole song was in it.
Yeah.
So then when I went back and listened to the riff and decided to record it, the riff called for an arch-top guitar, a semi-hollow guitar. It just, to my ear, a solid body guitar was not going to cut it. The solid body guitar, I mean, if you hear that riff and listen to the song and then think of a Les Paul or a Strat or a Gem or anything, it's like putting pepper where salt is necessary, something like that, you know? So I have a great collection of all sorts of guitars. Maybe not a great collection. I've got some nice guitar. I don't really have vintage instruments, but I probably have one of those guitars that have romanced me through my childhood, and you know, and a Gretsch was one of those, you know. So I had a lovely Gretsch, Brian Setzer style, and that was the guitar. That there was no question in my mind that riff belonged on that guitar. So this was a case where I used a different guitar to write it, and instead of going from my usual solid body, the song said no. It has to have that space around the notes, you know. So
and does it make it? I know there are some songs that you know, classic songs from many artists where you do go, if it hadn't been recorded on that specific guitar, it would never have reached that level of fame or notoriety or sort of that. Do you think? Because I always, so if you've got the Brian Setzer, with a Bigsby and all that kind of stuff, was that? Do you hear all of those kind of overtones and weird rattles and stuff that you get on? And does it just make the sound? Do you sort of listen back and go, that was a great choice to do it on that guitar, and it would never have worked on a different guitar?
Yes, and of course it can be performed on another guitar, but when you're being craftsmanlike and getting forensic, which we know guitar players love to do, you start fetishing all the nuances, you know, and used to go, this pickup has a bump at 2K, you know, 2K. You know, so what percentage of players are doing that? They're there, you know. So the same thing is like, should I use my Strat or I'm going to use it. So they will use in their mind combining, and you do it, so you know what I'm saying. You combined amps, pedals, guitars, microphones, mic pre's, stacking guitar parts, all these things. They don't happen in the outside world first. They happen here first. They happen. So this is a practice, and this is something very valuable for all people making in the music business or making music, is the recognition of the quality of a particular piece of gear and what it offers, and what it can offer to you when you're imagining your piece of music finished. So like you said, Brian Setzer, would we want Brian to play any other guitar? No. Because like you say, all the rattles, everything, the body of a Gretsch is expressed in his presentation of everything. But then you said, does the guitar, without a particular guitar, does that make the artist's career or song or whatever? And maybe my answer to that, first of all, I don't know, but instinctually I might say, in some cases, yes, but in the vast majority of cases, no, it's the melody. It's the melody and the chord changes. That's the winning ticket every time.
One of the instruments that you use on the album is a hardtail Strat, and I'm kind of interested. You look at me like you don't think you did. According to your notes, okay. Let me find the song. I've written it down here.
It's a Strat style.
Sorry, a Strat style hardtail, no whammy bar, no pick. It's on Candle Power.
Yeah.
And I'm just interested, again, quite... I've not seen you play that kind of instrument, and I don't know how typical it would be for you to approach just like a finger style on a Strat style guitar with a hardtail. And I was kind of thinking, do you have other players? I'm thinking of, are you listening to like a sort of a Mark Knopfler approach or a Jeff Beck approach to it, and thinking, is that inspiring you to choose that kind of instrument? Or again, I suppose I should apologize in advance that all my questions are going to be sort of guitar instrument sort of related and gear related.
Why would you apologize? That's what you do.
I know. Let me just mention that you're my last interview, so you can have all the time you need. That's very kind of you. Yeah, I kind of feel I'll always go for the gear rather than the sort of the creative songwriting.
Yeah, I'll try to gear my answers that way. As you know, it's hard for me.
No. Honestly, I loved meeting you before. I deeply respected everything you said about songwriting, and so I'm kind of I could listen all day, but it always fascinates me how instruments meet people that make songs, and how does all that kind of come together and work. But yeah, the hardtail Strat style guitar, I was just thinking, are you approaching, I guess it must make the thought process around how you're going to accent notes and hit vibratos and change pitch and stuff if you don't have a whammy bar to help assist with that.
Well, absolutely. The instrument that you pick up, if you reached to your left and grabbed your Les Paul and started playing it, you're going to play something different than if you reach to your right and grab, I don't know what that is, but very cool looking.
This. You will like this. Well, I think you'll like this. This is from a Japanese firm called Upeg, which I just picked up about maybe 2 months ago. But
it's a cool looking guitar. So if you go to play that guitar,
yep.
You're probably would you say that you're going to play it differently, perhaps? Or different things might come out than if you picked up your Les Paul?
If I have this guitar in my lap, I want to see what happens when I start playing with this. Yeah. Whereas, of course, if I've got a Telecaster or a Les Paul, or your mind's it's not even an option. So you're not even thinking about it. You're thinking about different techniques and. Yeah.
But I think it's different for various players. Some guys, will base the guitar they play on the song. A lot of guys will basically adopt one guitar that suits their personality and do all their music on that. That's pretty common, So what I do pretty much is, and any guitar you pick up, for me at least, I'm going to play something different than if I pick up my gem. My gem is my comfort zone. It's my home, or the Pia, and that this is, I can play freely on that. I can't play freely on a Les Paul. I can play, but it's not me. You know what I mean? And it's not because it doesn't have a whammy bar. It just, I don't, it's the same thing if I played a Strat with a whammy bar. I'm not going to play it the same.
Yeah.
So I think what happens is when a person decides to become a guitar player or decide that they want to play the guitar, everybody has a personality, a unique personality, and they're going to reach for pistachio over vanilla, you know what I mean, or whatever. And I think they do the same thing when they choose guitars. They look at a guitar, and for a lot of beginner players, it's the way that guitar appeals to them on a visual level, the shape, the message that they're getting from it, the vibe. That's not a reflection of the guitar. That's a reflection of their personal tastes. So they're going to go to that guitar, and then that'll be their thing. And if you think about it, if you look at the Gem and you think of Steve Vai, that guitar is so me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just so me. It's like my personality in a way.
Well, look, I was listening to the album. I got an advanced copy of it, and I think my first impressions over the first couple of songs, it's spectacularly well produced. It's got some great tones in there, great musicianship. I guess a lot of things that I would probably hope and expect I would hear from new music from you. And then you kind of come through it, and there's a track on there called Greenish Blues, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, this is going to be interesting. Where's Steve going to go on this one? And no crazy connection that I assume we're talking about Peter Green as some sort of, is that the title is some sort of ode? No, nothing to do with, oh, okay, well, you better tell me about that then, because I'm not suggesting that I've heard it and gone, oh yeah, I can hear some Peter Green licks in there. I just assumed if you're going to have a blues track and you're going to call it Greenish Blues, or is it just the colour? I didn't even think about that. You're just saying it's not blue, it's green. Well,
not even close, but I'll tell you.
tell me about it.
First of all, I have great respect for Peter Green. I never really listened to him when I was younger. It just never came on my radar.
Sure.
And so it's not an ode to Peter Green. I'm not qualified to do that because I don't know what he does.
No, I get it. No, I didn't mean ode. I kind of just meant like a nod, rather to something. But
nod, no, not even.
No.
The reason why I called it Greenish Blues was throughout my career, I like to incorporate all sorts of visuals and mystique evoking elements into the brand, like pyramids and the number 7. At one point, these things were fascinating to me, and I incorporated them into everything. But the color green was the color that I kind of adopted through my career, and I used it a good amount of time in branding, like the Alien Love Secret Green, we call it. Ever since then, there's certain things, like if I have to say, well, what color do you want it, Steve? I'm like, I don't know what color. Let me say, green, So the reason why I called this track Greenish Blues is because the chord changes, one might say that, one can say that they're quasi-bluesy kinds of chord changes.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the blues. I don't play traditional blues. I'm not a traditional player of any genre. I'm not a conventional traditional player of blues, classical, jazz, even rock, And I don't know why, it just turned out that way for me. But I like rock. And that's what I cut my teeth on as a guitar player. And the first scale I ever learned was a blues scale. Yeah. And to this day, that's all I use. I just alter the notes to work for all sorts of modes and all that stuff. So when I recorded Greenish Blues, it was really just my take on the blues. That's why I called it Greenish Blues. And very interesting how that track came along. We have this fun policy when we're on tour that for sound check, when the band sound checks, and then when I get to the stage, it's they're all ready, and I'm handed a hot guitar, and they don't know what I'm going to play, and I don't know what I'm going to play, but I just start playing, and everybody follows, and we record it. And we'll play for an hour to 2 hours at sound check, just jamming and recording. And at the end of the tour, I'll go back and I'll listen to a lot of this stuff. And some of it's crap, but some of it's really good, So like a lot of songs that I release come from those sound checks. And when I was listening back, there was Greenish Blues. It was just right there. I don't even remember doing it because it just comes, you know. It's like you just start doing it, and the band goes, "Oh, okay, I know what he's doing," you know. And I listened back, and I said, "Holy shit, I'm putting this on the record," you know.
Oh man, well I feel like I should have done my research better there. I have this mini obsession with Peter Green, and I just kind of felt wouldn't it be amazing if Steve had done some track? But hey, whatever. It's
Well,
my bad.
what's interesting is when I started doing press for the record, people are asking me, "Is this a nod to Peter Green?" And I got that question so many times. I thought I better go listen to Peter Green, you know. So it just was one of those things that, of course, I had heard him, you know, but I didn't study him. I don't know really. I know what he does. I know what he does,
Yeah.
but I never gave it the real ear, you know. So I did. I finally did. Just like a couple of weeks ago, I said, "Let me listen," and I'm like, I don't understand how anybody could take my Greenish blues and apply it to me, because it's like worlds apart. I can't play like that, you know. I don't play that kind of traditional blues. He's fantastic, you know. He's got all the great notes that make that style speak so beautifully.
Yeah.
I don't. I only have I only have the green ones.
I honestly, it is kind of amazing now that if you put the two words green and blues in the same sentence, it's like that's the. I'm kind of glad I'm not the only one, but I equally feel bad that you've been asked that question so many times.
Oh no, it's fine. I'm
one
sorry
of-
that I can't. Well, I'm not sorry, but it's you know, in a way, it'd be nice if I could say, "Yeah, Peter Green." I did a song. I don't do songs like that though.
Next time, but when the next interviewer that asks you, just go, yeah, Peter Green. Next question. And but when last time we saw each other, and again, I'm glad you're touring again, because that was the first. Honestly, and almost to the day, I think that was the first real heartbreaking thing for me in the first lockdown. Was we cancelled your gig. We had like the biggest ever masterclass booked that we'd ever had in Guildford, and
That's right. That's right.
and it was literally like,
yeah.
it was right at the beginning, and I think it was right up until it was like, is it going ahead? Will it? Won't it? Will it? Won't? And then you know, it was like, no, there's no air travel, there's no nothing, it's just finished, you know. So hopefully we can reschedule that at some point in the future.
Well, I kind of decided not to do those anymore. So.
Oh really? You're not going to do the was it Alien Secrets, wasn't it? You're not doing that anymore.
Probably
That's
not.
all right. Well, never mind. We'll come up
Hey,
with some
let's
other
see what
reason.
happens. I don't know anything. You know, I really enjoyed. I did it with you guys last time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It was amazing. I couldn't believe the turnout and really great audience. And so I don't know.
So about that time, you'd stopped using, not, you know, the Carvin, you hadn't stopped using them, but Carvin had stopped making amplifiers. And I remember talking to you, and I think some of you weren't really able to divulge too much about what was going on, but you were going through the motions of sort of thinking, right, where am I going to go amp-wise with the gear? And then shortly after, you announced the stuff that you're doing with Synergy, the little modules that go in. And I guess I'm just interested on the album. Are you using a lot of that stuff, or traditional valve amplifiers, or was it a lot of digital, or what's your? I mean, you got such an epic looking studio behind you. I imagine you can pick and choose whatever you want to record with. But where did you find all the good tones in terms of gear-wise?
That's interesting, Lee. Yeah, I have all sorts of little amplifiers, big amplifiers. When I discovered Synergy, that was like a mother lode, you know, because these modules are licensed preamp sections of all the amps that we know. Well, a lot of. And this now offered me the opportunity to have 15 amplifiers, you know, preamps. Now, of course, they sound a little different than when you actually grab a box. You've got like a combo. So I would say through the making of Inviolate, I used 3 different Marshalls, 2 Legacy power amps, a whole host of Synergy. But really, the vast majority of the sound was my Synergy module, which is sort of modeled after the Legacy, kind of a few little tweaks. And what I do when I record a guitar part, it's kind of involved. I don't just throw up a mic and play. It's sometimes, but for a main guitar part or something, it's kind of involved. I mic 3 microphones on a stereo system. So I've got 6 microphones on, 3 on each cab. And then I have got a mic in the back because all the cabs are open. And then I've got room mics. And you have to blend these things properly or else you get phase cancellation. But one of the things I always do is I record a DI signal. And then after I record the part, I could go back and take that DI and send it out into an amplifier and record that along with whatever I recorded on that sound before. So you can stack amplifiers. So if you pick a particular song, I can take Candle Power, for instance. That's like 3-4 different amplifiers. Because then I would send out the DI and reamp it. And the majority of the little amp that I used, it was a Lazy J. And those are fantastic. And I have a Victory that I love that I was using quite a bit. And also Fender, I had a Deluxe, and I got, what the heck is it called? There's one that I bought many years ago. I can't remember the name of it. But so I would use these to kind of supplement the sound. But here's what I noticed. It's weird. Every time I would try to record a main guitar sound through anything other than my Synergy module, I found myself going back and reamping it through the Synergy and making that the main sound.
Yeah.
It's my sound, that I'm comfortable with.
I'm so happy that you're sort of flying the flag for some British amp brands, but Lazy J in particularly, because Jesse lives about 5 miles from where I'm sitting.
Oh, is that right?
Now. Yeah, so it's mad that you're on the other side of the world almost talking about loving an amp that's.
The Lazy J that I have is actually Satriani's. He loaned it.
Wow.
We do that. We swap gear a lot, and maybe not a lot, but occasionally. But that's a great amp. Oh my God.
Yeah, it is a good amp. And kind of surprising to hear you using so many sort of vintage Fender amplifiers. Are you using pedals into those to get them drive, or are you playing them clean but layering them up with other driven amp tones?
If I'm using it's according to the song, obviously.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a big fan of the way those amps break up when you throw it. There's always some kind of like a mosquito in it. When you put they sound great when they're just doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
They're just speaking clearly without anything in the path. But I will. They also respond very well to foot pedals that aren't distortion. Like phase 90s, phase 110 flangers, and these kinds of these older direct Fender style little combo amps. They really seem to respond well to those kinds of things. So I'd have to think of the song. Okay, so something like Little Pretty. That's the combination of the Synergy, the Vai Synergy module as the main sound, and the Lazy J as a supporting sound. But the only time I kick the distortion in on the Lazy J is when it's the soul.
Yeah. Do you? I'm quite interested as well, because I think when I hear your sort of layered guitar tones as you're describing. Do you prefer to use a reamp technique, or will you actually go back and double track it, or so you get that slight you know, that slight sense that it's not exactly the same track that's being played along with it? Or do you use, is it again a blend of the two, as depending on what you want to achieve in the song?
It's dependent on the song. Like, for instance, recently I just did a track for somebody and I put like 12 guitars on it. Right now, because I know what I was going to do in each section, I didn't pay much attention to the sound. I paid attention to the quality of the direct signal, because I knew I was going to eventually use all different kinds of amps on it. And I didn't want to try to go chase that down now. You know, when I was doing it, I knew, you know, I didn't have to adjust my playing for the demo amp I was using, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because I knew what it was going to sound like. So I recorded everything with one sound, all DI, and then I went back and just took the DI and said, I bet this will work good in this amp. And, you know, and kind of, so then the whole blend changes, but I knew it was what it was going to sound like.
Yeah.
Conversely, there's songs where I'll say, that amp is the right amp for this entire track, and I got to get the sound right now and not worry about the reamping.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it really, it's not one way or another.
It's like, I think this must be what it must be like talking to like a 5-star Michelin chef about how they approach making their food. It's really quite fascinating.
As long as they come out with delicious tones.
There you are. You said it. Well, look. So, I mean, it is great to see you. I'm super excited for the new music for you. Really excited that you're going to tour it as well.
Thank you.
You seem in a good place. You know, and I know a lot of people, I think, through lockdown and stuff have probably struggled with that. But you seem in a good place, which I'm really pleased about as well. When can you tell, you know, people more about the tour dates and hopefully where you hope to be and how they'll be able to find, you know, get tickets and all that kind of stuff? I'm probably talking more outside of North America, you know, particularly UK based.
Yeah. I guess I can say this, but listen, everybody knows these days that anything can happen.
Yeah.
So anything I say now doesn't really matter. But as things stand right now, I'm hopefully kicking off my European tour in the UK, and that's June 4th.
Wow. Well, I mean, June 4th, 2022. So, okay, cool. Amazing stuff. Yeah, not far to go. Well, oh, that's amazing. How many? I suppose, like you say, we don't know, but hopefully a few dates in the UK. Hopefully we get to come and see you.
I'm slamming the UK.
Are you? You're going top to bottom?
Top to bottom. Spain, all of it.
Every single working man's club, everything from Land's End to John O'Groats.
That's right. You're going to have to tie a security rope on me, pull me back.
Oh, well, that's amazing. I'm so pleased. Hopefully we get to catch up at some point.
Hey, Lee, did you see the video reveal of the Hydra?
Yes. I mean, in my notes, my badly scribbled written notes here, I have definitely make sure you ask about the Hydra, and then I totally forgot. So I'm glad that you've mentioned that. But
I wanted to mention it because it's really cool.
It's beyond cool. It's the most steampunk, amazing looking stringed instrument I think I've ever seen. So you better. And that was that your? Did you dream that up, or did someone at Ibanez dream that up, or how did that even happen?
It was collaborative. I knew I wanted to have a multi-neck guitar made, and I wanted it to have a 12-string that was half fretless, 7-string, and a 3/4-inch bass neck that had 2 fretless strings. And I also wanted harp strings, you know, because I've had multi-neck guitars before, but I never really felt like I integrated them into a piece of music well. So I always, you know, I just wanted to do that. And I was really into the steampunk fashion, you know. So I got a bunch of steampunk kind of materials and stuff online and my concept, and I sent it to Hoshino, and they did the rendering of the Hydra, which they drew an illustration, you know. and they said, well, what do you think about something like this? I'm like, oh my God, what is that? You know, and from there on, it took like probably 5 years or so of going back and forth and tweaking. And the guitar turned out, it's an amazing instrument. It's got, well, you saw the video, you know, we wanted to do justice to the technical quality of the instrument by having a really well-made video. So we got this company, U & Co, to do that. And that was the Hydra reveal video. But I knew that I could have a guitar like this, but I have to do something with it. You know, I got to write a good piece of music. And when I decided to write the music for the Hydra, I knew that I put some demands on myself. You know, the song has to stand on its own, you know, as a enjoyable, listenable piece of music with a good melody. And then I had to figure out how to navigate all those things, because when you listen to the track, The Teeth of the Hydra, it's just the Hydra and then some keyboards and some drums. And I'm so happy with the way the video came out.
Will you tour that with the Hydra? Can that even be achieved in a live, you know, setting? I mean, or is that going to be something that's just going to stay in the studio in a glass cabinet for its life?
If I show you something, don't show it, because we're not.
Okay, I'm sorry everybody, we're about to edit out.
Whoa.
Is that clip that you just showed, is that going to be released in some other thing that you, so that's just
me working on it in the studio.
I mean,
I'm hoping to make a video.
If anybody had any doubts that, no, doubt is the wrong word, but if anybody needed any convincing that you have alien power to play the guitar, then basically they just need to see the clip that you just showed me, because that shouldn't be humanly possible. So fair enough. That's, I mean, so maybe
Lee, I'm sorry, but it's like anything else, really. I got to say, you start slow, you have confidence.
Yeah.
You do it little by little. And I'm going on record by saying anybody could do it if they decided to. That's it.
And I think therein lies the difference between musicians, and probably not just musicians, artists, sports people, whatever, who get to the level that you're at, versus the people who would say they would love to but never do. It's that single-mindedness, determination to get there that separates people, rather than necessarily some magical skill that you've got that the next person hasn't got, you know.
Exactly. And the thing is that the magical skill, and it's not even a skill, it's just a mindset, is gee, I really want to do that. That's it. And everything else is bullshit. Do you know what I mean? Like, the moment you get that feeling, you get an idea and you feel that joy in it, that's all you need. And that's the engine of creation. You know what I mean? And I just enjoy getting these ideas and then manifesting them. You know, that's what artists do. You know, that's what we're all doing. But it's when you get an idea for something that feels really good, and then you start making excuses as to why you can't do it, that you cut at the root of your own creativity.
Well, that's the 99% of the rest of us, and that's exactly it. It's 100%. It's the self-doubt, and it's the why can't I do something, rather than I'm going to do it. But that, you know, as I said, that is what separates people, I think, that get to their top of their game in their chosen field to the rest of us, basically.
Well, yeah, I think the thing that a person needs is, and they have it, is the ability to really enjoy the process. Mm-hmm. You know, if you can enjoy the process, you don't care where you're at. You don't care if people that are better than you are seen as inspiration as opposed to competition, you know? And that once you're in that mind frame, you know, all this, it's just going to start happening on your terms, you know?
Yeah.
So that's nice.
Well,
But
look,
yeah, that's the Hydra, and I'm definitely hoping to bring it on tour. I have to figure out how to play it standing up. I haven't done that yet. You know, I
well,
recorded a song and did everything on a stand.
I think honestly, it is amazing. I said I remember leaving the interview that we had last time, just feeling like there are so many more layers to you as a musician and as a composer and as a creator than there are just as this sort of superficial sort of guitar virtuoso level. There's every time I you know. It is a pleasure to no, it's yeah. So look, congratulations on the new music.
Thank you so much.
I don't know the dates. If this video comes out before the 28th of January, then it's 28th of January is when it's released. And if this video comes out slightly after, then go watch it. Go listen to it now. And yes, I'm a little devastated that the Alien Secrets thing is done. But if anybody got to see that when you were doing it, then you know that was an amazing thing. And if you ever do decide that you want to do it again, then we would love to be part of that.
Well, I got to tell you, I used to do these little Alien Guitar Secrets masterclass tours.
Yeah.
And I probably won't be doing those as much, but I really enjoyed everything that you guys put together there for me.
Yeah.
You really went to the wall, you know, and it was a great event, and there was so many great people there. You know, if the stars align, I would love to do it again.
Well, that would be my honor to host that and look after you again. So, Steve, you know, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today.
Thank you so much.
Good luck with everything. You know, hope your shoulder stays okay and everything else is good for you this year. And yeah, really look forward to seeing you next time. So thank you so much. You're a legend.
Thank you. Thank you.